Many modern fantasy stories, from The Lord of the Rings to Game of Thrones, draw inspiration from ancient myths. One such source is Irish mythology, a rich and complex tradition that tells of divine beings, epic battles, and the struggle for Ireland itself. Before we dive into the story of the Tuatha Dé Danann, let's first clarify the difference between Celtic mythology and Irish mythology. Celtic mythology is a broader term referring to the myths, gods, and legends of Celtic-speaking peoples across Europe, including Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and Brittany. Irish mythology, on the other hand, focuses specifically on Ireland's legendary history, featuring gods, heroes, and the invasions that shaped the land. While Irish myths are influenced by broader Celtic traditions, they have unique stories not found elsewhere. Now let's begin the legendary tale of the Tuatha Dé Danann, their battles and their eventual fall. Danu, the mother goddess of the Tuatha Dé Danann, are shrouded in mystery. Unlike other Irish deities, she does not appear as an active character in the surviving myths. However, her name lives on through the Tuatha Dé Danann, which means the people of Danu. Danu is often associated with fertility, wisdom, and rivers, and some scholars believe she was once a powerful deity worshipped across Celtic lands. Her name is linked to several European rivers, including the Danube, suggesting she may have been a primordial mother goddess. Though Irish myths do not describe her directly, it is believed that the Tuatha Dé Danann were her divine children, inheriting her magic and wisdom. The Tuatha Dé Danann were a mystical, godlike race, skilled in magic and warfare. Their story begins with their arrival in Ireland. Ireland was already inhabited by a race called the Fir Bolg, but then a new people arrived, the Tuatha Dé Danann, who came from 4 mystical cities, Fallius, Gorius, Murius, and Findius, where they had mastered magic, crafts, and warfare. They brought with them 4 legendary treasures: the Lia File, a stone that cried out when the rightful king touched it; the Sword of Light, Clam Solace, a blade that never missed its target; the Spear of Lug, an unstoppable weapon in battle; the Cauldron of Dagda, a magical vessel that provided endless food. The Tuatha Dé Danann burned their ships upon arriving in Ireland, ensuring they could not return. Their goal was clear: to claim Ireland as their own. Among the Tuatha Dé Danann, several figures stood out. Dagda, the chieftain and father figure of the Tuatha Dé Danann, Dagda was known as the Good God, a title reflecting his vast knowledge and power. He was a deity of wisdom, magic, fertility, and abundance. Dagda wielded 3 great treasures: a magical harp that could control emotions and the seasons, a bottomless cauldron that provided endless nourishment, and a mystical club, capable of both slaying enemies and restoring life. Lug, a multi-talented warrior and king, Lug was revered as a god of skill, strategy, and kingship rather than solely a solar deity. He excelled in many arts, including warfare, crafts, and poetry. His most famous weapon was the Spear of Lug, an unstoppable weapon that always struck its target. Nuada, the first king of the Tuatha Dé Danann, known as Nuada Ergetlam, Nuada of the Silver Hand. Diansect, the god of healing and medicine, renowned for his unmatched skill in restoring health. Brigid, a powerful triple goddess associated with poetry, healing, and smithcraft. She was venerated as a protector of artisans and poets and was deeply connected to sacred wells and the hearth. Manannán mac Lir, the god of the sea, magic, and the Otherworld, he was a guardian of sacred realms and a provider of mystical gifts. He wielded the Wave Sweeper, a magical boat that moved without sails, and the Cloak of Invisibility, which could render him unseen. Morrigan, a fearsome goddess of war, fate, and death. Morrigan was a shapeshifter who often took the form of a crow or raven, watching over battlefields and foretelling the deaths of warriors. At the time of their arrival, Tuatha Dé Danann sought to claim a place in Ireland. They offered to share the land peacefully. However, the Fir Bolg refused, and so war became inevitable. The 2 sides clashed in a great battle at Mag Tuired, where the Tuatha Dé Danann, though powerful in magic and warfare, faced fierce resistance from the Fir Bolg warriors. During the conflict, King Nuada, the ruler of the Tuatha Dé Danann, suffered a grievous injury. His arm was severed in battle. According to Irish tradition, a king had to be physically unblemished to rule. Because of this, Nuada was forced to relinquish the throne, despite the Tuatha Dé Danann emerging victorious. In his place, they appointed Bres, a young half-Fomorian prince as their new king, hoping his mixed heritage would bring peace between their people and the formidable Fomorians. But Bres was not a just ruler. Though he was born of both the Tuatha Dé Danann and the Fomorians, he leaned heavily toward his Fomorian heritage, ruling with cruelty and greed. He oppressed the Tuatha Dé Danann, forcing them into slavery and stripping them of their cultural traditions. He broke the sacred laws of kingship, insulting poets, craftsmen, and warriors who were once held in the highest regard. Under his rule, the Tuatha Dé Danann suffered and resentment grew. Meanwhile, Diankect, the god of healing, sought to restore hope. He crafted a silver prosthetic to replace Nuada's lost arm, making him whole again and allowing him to regain his status as king. However, the true turning point came with the rise of a new champion. Lu, the young warrior of both Tuatha Dé Danann and Fomorian descent. The Fomorians were a race of chaotic, destructive beings, often described as giants, monstrous warriors, and dark sorcerers. Unlike the Tuatha Dé Danann, who brought wisdom and magic, the Fomorians thrived on violence, oppression, and terror. They saw Ireland as theirs to plunder, and had long been enemies of the Tuatha Dé Danann. Lug was no ordinary warrior. With his extraordinary abilities, he became the leader of the resistance against Bres and the Fomorians. Recognizing his potential, the gods granted him a place among them, and Nuada himself gave Lu command of the army. As the Fomorians, led by Balor of the Evil Eye, launched their assault, the Second Battle of Mag Tuired began. Balor, a monstrous giant with a single cursed eye, could unleash devastating destruction with a mere gaze. In the chaos of battle, Balor confronted Nuada and struck him down, killing him. But the prophecy of Balor's downfall had already been set in motion. Lug stepped forward, standing against his own grandfather. As Balor prepared to unleash his deadly gaze, Lug hurled a stone into his eye with perfect precision. The impact forced Balor's own destructive power back upon the Fomorians, crushing their forces and turning the tide of battle. With Balor dead, the Fomorian army was broken, and the Tuatha Dé Danann emerged victorious. Bres was captured, begging for his life. He offered to teach the Tuatha Dé Danann the secrets of agriculture, claiming that his knowledge would bring them prosperity. Instead of executing him, they chose to exile him, stripping him of power forever. With Luz as their new king, the Tuatha Dé Danann entered an era of peace and prosperity. However, their time as rulers of Ireland was destined to come to an end. After years of ruling Ireland, the Tuatha Dé Danann faced their greatest challenge, not from monstrous Fomorians, but from the Milesians, a powerful race of human warriors. The Milesians were said to be descendants of Milesian, a great warrior whose people had traveled from distant lands. Guided by a vision of the goddess Eriu, she welcomed them and foretold that Ireland would one day belong to them, asking that they name the land after her. However, the Tuatha Dé Danann were not willing to surrender their kingdom so easily. Using their powerful magic, they shrouded the island in a thick, unnatural fog, making it invisible to the approaching invaders. But the Milesian druid, Emergen, was a master of sorcery. He recited an incantation so powerful that it cleared the mist, revealing Ireland once more. Before the Milesians could set foot on the land, the Tuatha Dé Danann proposed a final test to determine who had the right to rule. The Milesians were to sail 9 waves away from the shore and then attempt to return without suffering harm. If they succeeded, Ireland would be theirs. The Milesians accepted the challenge and set sail. But as they did, the Tuatha Dé Danann unleashed a mighty storm, hoping to drive them away for good. The violent winds and crashing waves threatened to destroy the Milesian fleet. But once again, Emergen called upon his magic, calming the storm and allowing the warriors to return. Once they landed, a fierce battle erupted between the two races. However, this was not the third battle of Mag Tuired, as no such battle is recorded in myth. Instead, the conflict is often known as the Battle of Tailtiu, named after the land where the final struggle took place. Despite their divine magic and skill, the Tuatha Dé Danann were ultimately defeated. At this moment, something mysterious happened. The Tuatha Dé Danann seemingly vanished. But they were not destroyed. Instead, they withdrew from the physical world, retreating into the Otherworld, an unseen realm of spirits and magic. They became known as the Aosi, the fairy folk, supernatural beings who still watch over Ireland from the hidden places of the land. Meanwhile, the Milesians claimed Ireland as their own, fulfilling the prophecy of Eriu. In her honor, they named the land Eir, the name by which Ireland is still known today. Though the Tuatha Dé Danann no longer walked openly among mortals, their presence was never truly gone. They became the Side, the fairies of legend, whispering in the wind, appearing in dreams, and shaping the fate of Ireland from the shadows. With the spread of Christianity in Ireland, the Tuatha Dé Danann were transformed in folklore, no longer seen as gods but as fairies, nature spirits, and the Ao, mystical beings, dwelling in the hidden places of the land. Their once divine status faded, but their presence endured in legend. Their myths have inspired countless tales of magic, heroism, and otherworldly beings, shaping Irish folklore and even influencing modern fantasy literature. Even today, certain sites in Ireland, ancient mounds, stone circles, and sacred wells, are believed to be the remnants of their presence. Many still regard these places with reverence, and some pagan and folkloric traditions continue to honor the Tuatha Dé Danann, treating them as powerful spirits of the land. The legend of the Tuatha Dé Danann has never truly faded. It lingers in the whispers of the wind, in the mist-covered hills, and in the stories passed down through generations, waiting to be rediscovered. Did you enjoy this incredible myth from Irish folklore? If you want to hear more about legendary gods, mythical creatures, and ancient battles from around the world, hit that like button and subscribe for more fascinating mythology stories. Have a favorite myth or a topic you want me to cover next? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to explore it for you.